Great to be here. Thanks for staying till after lunch. My name's Dan Finch. I'm Commercial Director for a company called SimpleStream, and we are leaders in live streaming for broadcasters and content owners here in the UK. Just a bit of background. Our business is split into two main areas, B2B and B2C. We have SimpleStream, which I'll be covering today. We have a company called Synapse TV, which is delivering live and on-demand content onto Freeview over IP. And then we have our consumer propositions, which is an aggregated live TV service called TV Player here in the UK, and a mini pay TV service that you can access via Freeview, channel 238 as well. We work with a variety of broadcasters. Our first customer was actually a teleshopping client called Ideal World, and their brief to us was quite simple. We have products in stock at the end of each show. We need to get them onto our websites very quickly. Can you help? So we built our solution for them, and then very quickly over the last 2 to 3 years it's been adopted by other channels, other broadcasters like Channel 4. They have a joint venture with Bauer Media called Box Television, so we provide them all their simulcast services. We also have other channels, niche channels such as Horse and Country. We provide a complete TV everywhere service for them, live streaming, 7-day catch-up, automated VOD, live to VOD, mobile applications, subscription management. That's provided as an end-to-end solution for them. And then more recently, we've gone into more on the video on demand space, working with some key e-tailers to help them when they've decided to create more video content, help to get that cross-platform as quickly as possible to encourage their sales, as you can see here with a cue point player that's been developed. And this is just their sort of back-end system. But for today, I wanted to focus on live sport and the importance that broadcasters are expected to cover to get their live sport content cross-platform, either in real time or, as near as damn it, as a catch-up service to their customers. And we identified this problem that OTT services are traditionally very complex. Managing live, scaling up to accommodate concurrent streams is complex. It can take a long time to develop these solutions. And more often than not, each broadcaster or content owner wants a different solution, one that is tailored specifically for their own needs. And we developed this solution that essentially is an end-to-end, fully managed piece of software that sits on top of hardware. It's a cloud-based system, and it's modular so that each customer of ours gets exactly what they need. And the modules that you can see in here, I'll just use this cursor. So if we start with live streaming, so all of our customers use live streaming. They need to have that because if they want to have our catch-up TV module, which is the live to VOD solution that we've developed, then they need to have that as well. We also, we don't profess to be an online video platform, but we do have certain functionality that those guys do have. And that's more on the on-demand side. We also have the ability to syndicate content very quickly. So I'll come on to all these points throughout the presentation, but essentially it's an out-of-the-box solution that a broadcaster can very, very quickly get a live stream cross-platform in real time. So the first, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through 4 or 5 case studies. Because we're quite a small group, if you've got any questions, maybe just shout them out. And rather than me just talking at you for 40 minutes, I'd much rather you said, yeah, but what about that? So just stick your hand up and we can... I'm actually a non-technical person, despite being here, but I can probably know enough to get by. So if I can't answer any questions, then we can cover that offline. But we were selected by At the Races because they wanted the ability to really have a live clipping solution for the horse races, so that they could run that content on their site, power their mobile applications. So what I'm going to do is, rather than rely on the Wi-Fi of this great hotel, what I've done is I've taken a series of screenshots of our software. I'm not too precious. We're proud of the software, but I'm not too precious if you want to take pictures. And it'll also kind of come apparent, I think, as to the ease of how it can be used. So this is their panel, and you can see that we've got these different modules in here. We've got live, we've got catch-up TV, on demand. So in here we're ingesting their stream. We can receive feeds either over IP or downlink from satellite, or we've done an integration with Live View, so we can take in truly live streams. And this piece of software, built in PHP, sits on top of hardware encoders. We're agnostic as to the hardware encoders that a broadcaster might have, but we do have preferred suppliers in terms of MediaXL that are integrated into our full system. So in here you've got your live streams, and this is where you can pick your different bit rates. It's a multi-bit rate solution, and you can set your different rights parameters as well. And this panel is actually designed for non-technical people to use, so that if you want to geo-block your stream to a particular area, then this will do it for you. We can also then black out content that you might not have the rights for a specific device. So we can enable that blacking out technology, which is something that we actually developed for one of our customers who didn't have the rights for certain US drama shows on their mobile service. And so we built this system that is very easy to implement based on a blackout list that is provided. And then moving on, yeah.
So the blackout list, does that mean you've got a time schedule that you're taking as absolute, that's the correct time certain content's going to go to where?
Exactly.
Okay, rather than taking a trigger from the live playout system, the linear playout system?
Oh, we can do both.
Okay.
So normally the broadcaster will provide us an XML feed of maybe content, or an Excel sheet just of content, or it can be a managed service that they can do themselves. They can create series link blackouts as well. You can black out by device as well, even down to iOS or Android. And then our catch-up TV solution here. So this is doing a couple of things. It's ingesting the live EPG data from the broadcaster themselves, and then it's using that timestamp data to generate pretty much frame accurate now video on demand of that particular event that is taking place. We have a network PVR that we've developed as well, so we retain channels for up to 90 days with their full EPG information in our back-end system. And then that allows them to be able to scroll backwards up to that period and actually offer a cost-effective cloud-based PVR and catch-up functionality. And then there's actually three ways that you can generate your video on demand. So you can either do it via the timestamps here, via the EPG information that we would get directly from the broadcast's management system, or you can generate your own custom times. And then if you know that a show is on every day, for example, then you can automate your generation of your VOD. If you then wanted to trim your content in real time, then you can do that here. So we encode that content continuously, so that at the end of, say, a 1 hour show, traditionally broadcasters have found it difficult to publish that piece of, say, news or that live event quickly. So what we do is we encode all that content on the fly, and then it's then ready literally within a few minutes, that whole long-form show where all those different chunks, we will break them down to 5 or 10-second chunks. All those chunks are then reconcatenated back and then made available as a video-on-demand file. But if for some reason that EPG information is slightly out of sync, then you can then generate your own little browser editor tool where you can literally go point in, you can then go point out, as you can see here. And then what you then want to do, of course, is preview that clip back so that you can then check to make sure that you've got the right piece of video that you want. And then if you mess it up, it doesn't matter because it's already been encoded anyway, so you can just go back and generate it again.
Where do you get the EPG information from? Is it from the DVB stream, or is it through a different process?
We currently get it from the broadcast management system provided by the customer.
Okay, they provide it.
Yeah, so we would want to work with the broadcaster to get as accurate information as possible because EPGs change, sometimes up to 2 hours before. And then once you're happy that that video is then ready, it gets published into the on-demand module, which you can see here. So this is our kind of VOD management system. So they've currently got, 12,000 videos in there. And it's within here that it kind of becomes more of an OVP play because you can actually use this to manage all your video on demand that you have anyway, rather than using the catch-up TV module to generate your VOD. You can always upload your content using this system as well. And then just to run through these tabs here, so you've got your details here. We can change that thumbnail if we want to, so you can always upload a new image to go over that. Or you can just use a timestamp to generate your asset. That's important if you're doing live to VOD because there may be a key point within that match where something happened and you want to focus on that master image. And then in terms of metadata, you've then got all your various elements that you can have in here, and then you can literally add in a continuous list of additional metadata that you might want to have. And then down here you can have all your different filters around date of upload. You can sort, or it's a searchable database as well of video content. And then going back to the rights issue, so that if you only have rights for specific territories, then you can black out that content accordingly on a global basis. Our system is pre-integrated with Level 3 and Limelight, so you get a truly global CDN. And people come to us because perhaps they don't have the internal resource to do deals directly with either one of those CDN providers. And so we integrate with both of them, and we have, I'd say, good deals with both providers. And then in addition to that, if syndication of that video was important, then you could always download that video as an MP4 file using this system. And then if you wanted to, you could syndicate that stream in whatever format you really wanted. But as a business, we found that HLS seems to be the more resilient of streaming protocols to adopt.
So I'm assuming you guys do RTMP and HLS, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys see a difference in the latency between RTMP and HLS?
Yes.
And when it's like a horse race and you're betting, is that latency a factor or does it not?
Not really. It's so RTMP is the quickest.
Right.
HLS there is a slight delay, but we've kind of overcome that. But I guess the main reason for delay is around digital rights management that you might have to put in place for that specific sports content. It just adds another 10 seconds in terms of delay. But I do have one case study soon where we worked out a solution to actually deliver low latency, and actually the Apple AES encryption is pretty good. So there's other ways that you can wrap the stream without having to go down a full DRM solution in terms of tokenization, and then you've got your various geo-blocking technologies as well. So there's interesting ways around it. Not my area of expertise, but there are. So you've got your different encodings here. And then I'm just going to stop on at the races, because I don't want to just show you one customer and show you another customer using the same sort of functionality, because everyone uses our system to do something slightly different. So just want to move on to another horse racing customer of ours. We seem to have got horse racing covered in the UK, which is good. But we have a module, which is our syndication module, which is under the header here of playlists. And this really allows you to very quickly, there's one thing having the video, either having a video streaming URL or having a video file, but then it's, well, if you've done a deal with another magazine or a publisher to actually put that video on their site, it's a lot easier just to actually create a little player and embed it on their site. And so the system that we created does exactly that. So you can very quickly generate either a single player, and you can customize the functionality very quickly, or you can have a VOD-based player with a playlist that will continuously play, or you might have a VOD-based system with additional tabs in there as well. And then it also has in terms of monetization, a fully VAST compliant, so that it can just serve ads. And then if you wanted to introduce a paywall, then you could also do that. So once you've generated your player, it's a shame I can't show you this today, but essentially it's very easy to create these little players, and you can we have a hue of different colours that you can configure them with. And then in terms of how it looks on the end page, then if they're using it for their own site, or if they want to syndicate it to third parties, then it's very easy. So I think Racing UK, so they've got 92 different players that they currently use, and each one of their partners, bookmakers, all have different requirements. And then the nice thing about the players is that once you've created it, generated it and syndicated it once, it automatically updates every time you add a new video into your media manager. So once you've done the hard work once, it just automatically populates it. So that's horse racing. Very quickly move on to boxing. So Box Nation is another one of our customers that looked to our solution because of the technical, I guess, expertise of SimpleStream in terms of being able to provide them a live streaming subscription service for iOS and Android, and also their online player. So what we did is that they were getting constant inquiries saying, well, I don't have Sky, I have Freeview, I want to watch your channel. And then obviously there's a commercial discussion around, is it worth Box Nation paying the fees charged by Arqiva to go onto Freeview? Probably not. So they decided to go completely OTT and then have their own service. And again, this is about taking the live stream of the boxing matches, being able to syndicate, or not syndicate, sorry, being able to generate those video-on-demand assets and have them within the app very quickly afterwards. So if a fight was on at 1 a.m., you wanted to go to bed, then you knew that when you woke up and you turned your app on, that it would be there ready to watch. And then this is their own media manager. You can see that everyone gets their own kind of branded media manager, and then it's very easy for them to start to work with that in terms of building a video archive. The next case study I wanted to show you, or share with you rather, is for Discovery. And obviously since their acquisition, or during the acquisition of Eurosport, they obtained the rights to do the RBS Six Nations in Italy. And then we were selected by them to provide them a very quick solution that allowed them, because of the DMAX audience in Italy, to exploit those rights and put them onto mobiles and PCs. And so we effectively took their feed and repurposed it to go onto cross-platform. And then if you see, this is more of our events-based media manager. So you can literally, if you have the rights for a specific event, and you're not a 24/7 broadcaster, and you have a requirement, then you can just come into the system, generate your own event, and then we obviously make sure that the feed is coming through. And then what's nice for them is that then they can have, before the match starts, you can have a poster image before the match begins, and then at half-time, when they don't have the rights for that particular piece of content, you have a half-time poster, and then you've got your end poster there. And then there's a monetization tab there, which was essentially us having to integrate with, I think it was Freewheel, to allow them to then monetize the service. And I think what's really interesting for broadcasters now is that this whole delivery to these cross-platform devices actually allows them to get really granular data on who is actually watching their channel. So I don't think they had a signing up process on their website, but that's certainly one way of generating your database. But the next piece is really the stats that either the CDN can provide, or the media player can provide, the device can provide. And I'm not going to dwell on this slide too much because gives you a snapshot of their stats. And so they can see that up to that point, at 3:15, when Italy were losing at half-time, they obviously had a drop-off rate there where people were not as keen to watch the second half as they were the first half. But what's also interesting is that you can then deliver, literally, by device, the percentage of viewing. And then you can also do that by operating system and the browser as well. So it's a really nice overview. So what we do is we pull in all those different statistics, and you can present them to the customer in one go. And then more recently, this was a really exciting project that we worked on with Sky Bet, and this was all about low latency streaming for the playoffs in May. And this was essentially Sky Bet's first sort of foray into, in conjunction with the Football League, to actually, if you are a registered Sky Bet customer and you want to place a bet, then you can watch the game that you've put your bet on. And I think this is a good indication of things to come for maybe not just people like Sky, but also other sports rights holders and broadcasters. So essentially what we were doing here is we were actually taking over fibre from each of the football grounds the live coverage. So this was before it gets uplinked to satellite, before all the jazzy graphics that the guys down in Osterley would have added to that live feed. This was taking the OB feed directly from the ground, but being delivered over fibre. We have a capture point up in the north of England through a company called ADI, and they have access to all the Premiership feeds, all the Football League feeds now in the UK. And so for us, making the investment to put our encoders there allows us to then start to do some very exciting things with rights holders that have those rights to syndicate that sort of content. And what was nice about this is, I guess, similar to what we were doing for Discovery, but in terms of as an event, you can obviously get the real-time betting information changing constantly as you're viewing the live stream. And then for them, they could obviously then benefit as well from having that sort of granular analytics. They can obviously see from their own websites and customer accounts how well that was going for them. And so we did that for the whole of the duration in May. And we managed to get the latency down to under 7 seconds directly from the ground to an iOS device. And their benchmark, I think, was around 10 seconds. So by taking that feed before it even goes up onto satellite, obviously alleviates someone at the ground phoning their friend saying, put that bet on, and then he puts the bet on, of course, then that's one way to get around that. So it's been a really good exercise, and we hope that there'll be more of these sort of events coming through. Well, I guess in a similar way, just gives you an idea of how their posters work, so that because we're taking the raw match feed, we obviously don't want to have the commentary between halves in the commentary room that doesn't get aired. So we mute the stream and black it out. So that's worked really well.
Can you put alternative content in instead of just blacking out or having a captions?
Yeah, absolutely. So if they had one of their promos, for example, to get money off for the second half, absolutely, you can definitely do that.
Could you take that further? Because I think Sky are looking to do, I think they call it Ad Smart, where it's localised insertion in Sky Plus box
Yep.
for viewers at home.
Yep.
So could you localise similarly to similar sort of granularity?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Think of it as a mobile Ad Smart.
Yeah. And then so the stats would return back when people actually watch that Procter & Gamble commercial at number 88 or whatever.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so I seem to have been sort of rattling through this. I mean, I guess in summary, I started with a slide saying that, all these OTT solutions are complex. They, it is actually a complex process. Managing or getting the headroom, I guess, when you are doing live streaming, if you're going from 5,000 simulcast users to 55,000 or 60,000, then there are areas that need to be looked at before. But I think, obviously, technology is getting better. I think broadcasters are making that investment now. They've all been focusing for a long time on, sort of DTT delivery of live sport, which is obviously great to get those huge audiences in. Traditionally, it's been a bit of an area that has, I think, it hasn't been a focus area for broadcasters, and I think that's changing now. And I think when you do have, organisations like Barb that are now starting to look at actually measuring cross-platform, well, then why wouldn't a broadcaster want to put their own live stream online and across all devices, and actually then benefit from all that data that they can then get back? Because if you can marry up all those different streams on those different devices, add in someone's IP address, then you've got a really nice kind of audience, description of who's actually viewing your content. So I guess in summary, it doesn't have to be that expensive. Technology's come on such a long way in the last few years that there are, companies out there, I say like us, that can provide these live streaming services, and we like to think that we're, ahead of the curve, and I think it's a very exciting time for the broadcast industry as we move to more IP delivered solutions for broadcasters. So if you have any questions, I'd be delighted to answer them. If you want to have a chat afterwards, that's good as well.
Could you explain how live using the system?
So essentially, it's just ingesting that RTMP stream out from the live view unit that would go into our media manager. So it just means that there will be a home for that piece of video that gets generated.
So is it like a multicasting ability you add to the audio on several different devices, or is it taking
It's,
content stream?
yeah, it's taking the content stream into the media management system, and then within that, you can either very quickly edit it, or you could download it and then edit it and re-upload it and syndicate it. But it depends what you want to do with it. Or you could just pass it through as a stream with a player to an end device. Yeah.
So how long does it take for you guys to integrate and onboard a customer? Because it seems like there's a lot of customization with this. Each specific customer you showed us, I'm sure they're fussy and they have all sorts of specific. So what's that look like typically for you guys?
Okay. So case study would be discovery, 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Sky Bet, 2 weeks.
What's the scalability, or can you give some sense of how big it can get?
Well, in terms of concurrent users, well, I think we've done about 40,000 concurrent streams, I think, for an event, and there was no problems. And I think so Media Manager sits on AWS, and we normally fire up, I think, additional instances just so that it can cope, and then we'll make sure that we've spoken to perhaps a CDN provider beforehand as well to make sure that's also okay. And then for our customers that have a subscription service, it's a lot easier to manage because you can very quickly see their pattern of traffic. So it's okay. But in terms of it as a scalable solution, it's very scalable, and we have a tiering process with our CDN providers as well, and then our kind of as a fallback, there's Amazon as well. So if it doesn't work on Limelight Level 3 or Amazon, then we've got a bigger issue, I think, to worry about.
The world is ending.
Sorry?
The world is ending.
Yeah, exactly. Apparently. So yeah. Any other questions?
You said that the latency on the iOS device for Sky was down to 7 seconds.
Yeah.
What about on the desktop device? How low do you go there on a normal computer?
It was similar. Yeah, we were still using the HLS stream, but we were putting it into through a Flash plugin so that it could be seen on a desktop. Yeah.
Do you create your own players, or are you utilizing?
Yeah.
yourself? You do.
Yeah, so we're a team of 20, all based in Piccadilly. We have Flash players, we have iOS, Android developers, 12 back-end and front-end developers, and then there's a couple of other people. But with our other business, with our joint venture partner, so for delivering of live onto Freeview, then there's another company that we work with called S&T, and they have a team of 36 people. So, but we spent nearly 4 years building the software. So in terms of as a quick route to market, it's people when you first meet them, they don't believe you that you can do it in that time scale, and then when you actually do deliver it, they go, okay, well, that's quite interesting. So that's, and then they also say, oh, but you're very small as well. That's always been an area for us to sort of address. But having started in the sort of the teleshopping area, and then suddenly working with like Discovery and Sky and then other interesting organisations, we've got a good roadmap now of some good customers to be working with. So, any other questions? Yeah.
In terms of your partnerships, so most of it is your software.
Yeah.
Which other parts are off the shelf in your solution?
Okay, so MediaXL. So we use MediaXL encoders for all of our encoding, and it's proven very resilient. And yeah, I mean, as a piece of software, it can integrate with other encoders as well. which we have done tests with. I guess it comes down to, at the end of the day, it comes down to budgets, and for broadcasters, it's, if you just need to go to the shops, you don't need a Rolls Royce, but you might just want to have something that's reliable. So it's important that we can fit those, all those different areas. But for that, and then we have a media hub, which is up in Hanger Lane, and that's where our data center is. And then, yes, that's where we do a lot of our downlinking. And then, as I mentioned before, we have level 3, Limelight, and Amazon as our third parties that we work with. Oh, and TerraQ as a head-end provider we use as well. And Ericsson for conditional access channels we might work with. And so I can, if you want to have a chat afterwards, I can, can share some more information.
In terms of circuits as well, do you take in broadcast circuits and downlink?
No, we can take IP feeds as well directly from playout. So we can either put encoders in at the playout of the broadcaster. Obviously, there's benefits of doing that in terms of partial latency and reliability as well. And then perhaps a broadcaster might have their own encoders they want to use, and then it's just how you can output that as a HLS stream into the CDN, up into the data center, and then you're away. Okay, apparently I've got 10 more minutes left. But I don't have to keep speaking. Yeah.
Sports rights owners are happy, some of them have extremely concerned about the streaming. And they haven't allowed any streaming because they obviously worry about piracy, etc. What's your view? I mean, have you cracked that with the FA agreement, or is there a very specific case with the player?
I think with live, it's digital rights management is very important to the rights holders, and I think that that it needs to be that's something that needs to just be agreed with them, and they need to be at ease with that. There's so many deals that I think have happened, where a broadcaster might take the DTT rights for a specific sports event, but then also get the OTT rights to accompany those, and then it comes down to, well, who's doing what to who? So is it the sports rights holder providing that encrypted feed to that broadcaster, or is the broadcaster's job to then take that feed? So without sitting on the fence, I think it's a conversation for the rights holder to have with whichever broadcaster they've done that deal with. But I think the Football League were certainly happy, I think, with the processes that we'd put in place for Sky Bet for that case study. And I think it's a lot easier to steal VOD than it is live. So providing you can add in these additional layers of complexity, unless you really know what you're doing, it's fairly, if you've got a native player in an iOS device, it's fairly difficult to for the layman anyway, to take that live feed and do something else with it. And then there's obviously the value in sports is it's all about live, because same as news, yes, yesterday's news is worth a fraction of what it is live. So yeah.
What are the requirements that you had to deliver to the rights holder? I mean, in some cases you're talking about secure facilities.
Yeah.
Inside it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
So I mean, our media hub, for example, well, it's fact certified, and we work with all the broadcasters we work with have concerns around piracy, if they're conditional access channels, free-to-air channels. It's a growing concern, but I think providing you have that trust in place with the owner, there are ways to bring in to make it more complex to to take that content. Okay, well, thank you all very much for your time. If you have any further questions, I'm around for the rest of the afternoon. Happy to chat more. So, thank you.